Hi everyone, welcome to my channel for some Guardium Collectors Administration considerations based on my experience as professional services with IBM and my recent practical experience at AIM, where I manage by myself about 50 collectors without this taking more than 10 to 20% of my time. So in this video we're gonna review the fourth and last category of issues you may have to deal as a Guardium administrator. So this fourth category is really the worst one. It's when the system really went beyond the limit and basically is overwhelmed and shut down. So there are two cases mostly. There are more, but the most important ones are those two ones. It's when the sniffer restarts frequently, many times a day, and when the MySQL database reaches 90%, which has for consequence the sniffer to shut down and stop collecting. Here again we're gonna refer to the BOOM, the Buffer Usage Monitor report, which has a lot of data and variables and a lot of information to be used. So in this case we're gonna focus on two variables, the TID, which is actually the process ID, and the MySQL disk usage variable. Then why are those two variables meaningful and important when it comes to appliance being overwhelmed and basically shut down? Then let's look first at the process ID called TID. Then each time the sniffer shuts down and restarts being respawned, a new process ID, TID, is generated. Okay. Therefore, the number of unique TID over a period of time tells us how many times the sniffer shut down. A sniffer shut down and restart is a sign of major stress if it's repeated frequently. So this is something you don't want to happen. You don't want the main process on the collector to be shut down and have to restart often. Best is when it never restarts. So the second case, it's when the MySQL disk usage reaches 90%. When it reaches 90%, it's not just a stress on the appliance, it's just the sniffer shuts down permanently because it has no place to put the traffic it gets. So basically the collection of traffic on the appliance stops. The agents will be redirected to a failover collector if it was set up. But for example, if you've got two collectors reaching 90% with their agents using the same failover, this failover is going to receive all of a sudden the traffic of two collectors and will be overwhelmed. So this also, it's not a situation you want to be in. So both the frequent shutdown and restarts of the sniffer and the full database are two situations you absolutely want and must avoid. So there is one feature in Guardium I'd like to put some light on, because it's a great feature but cannot be abused. Okay, so this is the ALP. ALP stands for Analyzer Lost Packet. As the name indicates, it's when the analyzer loses data. So when you've got an ALP positive, it means that you are losing data and losing packets, definitely. And this is actually means deep trouble. So here is why. Okay, when the sniffer is asking for memory over a third of the total memory, the watchdog called Nanny is supposed to kill it and reset it and respawn it. When the sniffer gets killed, if nothing is done, the data in memory and in the analyzer queue get lost. This means to avoid this, the Nanny, prior to killing the sniffer, makes it write those data into an OS file on the disk. And when the sniffer restarts getting respawned, there is a process called flat log process, if activated, that starts feeding the sniffer with those data, and you get back on track. That way there is no analyzer lost packet and no traffic is lost. But the size of the file on the disk is limited too, and if that limit is reached, no packet can be written anymore, and therefore those packets that cannot be written gonna get lost. And this is when you get the ALP positive. This is really a situation you never want to let happen. So it is you cannot be in position where the disk, the file on the disk where the sniffer writes what is got in memory and in the queue before getting killed, you cannot have reached the limit of this file. Okay, so now practically and in terms of architecture, it means the following. This is a simplified version of the diagram of Guardium software architecture, then a bit simplified, then to focus on the analyzer because it's what it's about. Then the traffic gets to the analyzer, right? Too much traffic, the memory gets hijacked almost, and the analyzer puts the data it cannot process right away into the queue. The memory getting requested by the sniffer being too much, so Nanny is going to kill it, to kill the sniffer process. And therefore, but prior to do that, the analyzer will have time to write the queue and what is got in memory into a file. Okay? And after that, it's going to get killed. So what lesson to draw from all these, and before we go to the demo, so we need to recognize that Guardium appliances, like any other computing system, has limits, and we, as Guardium admins, we cannot let those limits get crossed. So we cannot let the system go. System goes beyond the limits, because there is no really solution when the system goes beyond the limit. It's the only option is to fix the machine, which in general is difficult and resource consuming. And therefore, how to prevent reaching that stage, it's, I think, by being proactive, as I tried to describe in the previous video. And by being proactive, normally we should be able to prevent going beyond those limits. Now on for the demo. Then we're going to look at those two variables, the process ID, the number of process ID for the sniffer, and the MySQL disk usage through this kind of dashboard. So you can recognize here that we've got the metadata and the wheel of collectors. So here, let's start with the disk usage monitor, disk usage, MySQL disk usage, sorry. And so this one is at 80, it's not at 90 yet, but this is where you're gonna see, you will see that it has reached the limit. So if you look at 80 receive and so forth, it should be at 0 at that time, right? So now let's look at the TID. So here we've got for each collector the number of unique process ID registered over a given period of time. So if it's 1, it means that there have been only one PID, so meaning that there have been always the same, so therefore there have been no restart, no shutdown. So this is exactly what you want. But if it was not the case, you will see here for some collectors a number of TID greater than 1, and in some cases I saw a very, very high number over a very short period of time, and this is exactly what you want to avoid. So and this takes us to the end of this presentation. Thank you for watching it. If you've got any question, or if you want more information, just contact us at info@context22.com, and you can also visit our website, still under construction, and be nice. It's not perfect yet, but we will be glad to answer any question you may have, and also discuss with you the use of those features and functionality we have developed as part of this Context22 open source project. Thank you very much and have a nice day.